As Jason was saying, we're going to talk about children. We're going to be talking about we should be humble as children. So I think it behooves us to examine children. Well, we saw some up here. One of my favorite groups here is the Tambourine Band. By the way, we will be rehearsing right after this. I thought I'd throw that in. New choreographed number for the Tambourine Band. But it's a joy. It's a joy to see children and to see how they act and the awe that they have for life and the freshness to the whole thing. They look innocent where they are not. They look it. And so that's how we should be. A few weeks ago, Charmaine and I were about to enter a local restaurant that shall remain nameless, the Corner Bakery. And before we could get there, out burst this little group. There was a little boy, I presume about 1 year old, and he was like this. He was built like a linebacker. And he was careening. He wasn't just walking, he was careening back and forth, and he was talking the whole time. So the first young woman behind him, it must have been his aunt, said, he talks, but we have no idea what he's saying. He's so enjoyable. He's a lot of fun. So they're trying to get after him. And then the mother comes, and she goes, ha, ha, ha. She just giggles. And he goes, ha, ha, ha. The exact pitches. It was a linebacker with perfect pitch. I'm telling you, we were amazed. We sat the whole meal eating our sandwiches thinking about this little guy and what he was doing. Well, we did see him careening around Corner Bakery, probably looking for the ball carrier, but we don't know. This is how we should be. We should be full of life. We should be free from encumbrance and from worried about taxes and whatever. We should be not concerning ourselves because, as Jason was pointing out, you have someone to come to. You have God the Father to come to. Some years ago, our daughter, our daughter was at a college in the north, a Christian school. I won't mention the school's name because it doesn't matter, but it was a Christian school. And we went to visit her one weekend, and we went to the cafeteria, and we thought we'd try it out. And so we're up there getting our food, and there were about 500 or 600 young people there. But there was something strange going on in the back of the cafeteria. There was a young man standing on a chair, and he was looking at the people, had his arms up like this, and he was looking at the people there at his table. And he had on, I believe, as I remember, a T-shirt and Bermuda shorts and a bow tie. Rather strange looking. It seemed that what had happened was he was going to be initiated into the swim team. And this was his thing that he had to go through, okay? So the table was going to sing along with him. Now remember, this is a Christian school. So they had to pick a number that everybody at the table knew. They picked How Great Thou Art. So he's directing their singing. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Pause for laughter. I think you probably have the same feeling that Charmaine and I had. Why didn't they pick Mary Had a Little Lamb? Or Row, Row, Row Your Boat? They picked this magnificent hymn that we've lived with. How many people know that hymn? Okay. How many times do we sing it and we're not thinking about the words? Let's just think about how great God is. Okay, we're going to try an experiment. I told you we're going to be like children today. Okay, we're going to get on a spaceship. Are you ready? No, you're not ready. Get your gear, get your helmet on, and get strapped into your seat, okay? Now, this spaceship is rather large. It seats 100. So we're there, and we're going to get on our spaceship, and we're going to go see this world that God has made. Okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Man, was that something? 0 to 60,000 in 10 seconds. You talk about these cars today. Now, I exaggerated. I'm sorry. Eventually, you'll be going 60,000 miles per hour. Okay? So you're chugging along. Now, to get to the... Now, I want you to get all this in perspective. Now, to get us to the nearest star, it's going to take 77,000 years. Everybody goes, boy, that's something. 77,000 years just for one ride to one star. We have just started our trip, people. If we were to go from one side of our local galaxy to the other, our local galaxy is called the Milky Way. Isn't that cute? The Milky Way. Oh, man, look at that. I see the Big Dipper. Oh, yeah, cool. To get from the east to the west of the Milky Way would take you 1 billion years. How great is God? How great is God? That's the first part about it, that we have to start thinking in terms of how great God is. But let's look at it from God's perspective, okay? This God, he looks over here, and see this little doorway here? Okay. That would represent the size of the sun. Now, you take a little marble and put it down on the floor there. That's how big the earth is to the sun. Oh, we're traveling all right. The little flying marble is going something like 60,000 miles per hour. Did you know they took a poll a couple weeks ago? They were talking about it on radio. Did you hear about that? 1/4 of the people did not know that the earth orbits the sun. They didn't know that. 1/4 of all the people. Yeah. It orbits the sun. Okay, so there's our little flying marble. On the flying marble, I'm glad you have a good child's imagination here. There are 7 billion people, but they must look like dust mites on the flying marble. Have I depressed you enough? Have I depressed you enough? Okay, so there we are, this thing, and we think in terms of the earth is it? It's a little flying marble in the universe. But God looks upon each of us with great love. That's why I'm always amazed. You know, we learn things like Emmanuel means God with us. Wait a minute. God, the creator of all the vast universe, is with me. Yes, he has love. And when I think that God his Son not sparing gave him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. You think of the vastness or smallness, and you think about this great God. There was a little girl by the name of Amelia, and we have an Amelia here too, don't we? Okay. That we in Pittsburgh. We used to go to a church in Pittsburgh that had regular healing services. You did what? It was the First Presbyterian Church of downtown Pittsburgh, a very formal church. And the services were quiet except when you were praising the Lord for what he had done for people. Well, there's a little girl by the name of Amelia. And she had boils on her body from the top of her head to the soles of her feet, oozing sores. She was in constant pain, 6 years old. And her grandmother took her to one of these services, and she wrapped her in a blanket to cover the sores, not so much to keep her warm. The service went on about halfway over, and Amelia started saying, "There's Jesus." And her grandmother tried to keep her quiet. No adult saw Jesus. The 6-year-old saw him. There's Jesus. Almost simultaneously, the boils started to dry up on her body. And he started to flake off, some even landing on the lap of the lady next to him. Some years later, Amelia went back to a service, and she was a teenager now. And the minister saw right in the middle of the service, stopped and said, "Amelia, did you really see Jesus?" She says, "Oh, yes. He was standing to the right of the pulpit, and he had his arms stretched out to me." Let's all see as a child sees. Will you bow your heads just for a moment? Lord, I thank you that you have taught us through children, taught us the purity of religion. Help us to feel that as well, and to sense your protection. Pray in Jesus' name.